This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the May edition of MWF Extra. I'm Dan Marotti, now joined by Commissioner Vaughn Johnson. You didn't want to be with us for Carl Lauer, which I understand. Right now on the telephone, coming to us from Amarillo, Texas, is one of the greatest professional wrestlers in the history of this industry, the one and only Terry Funk. Terry, thank you for joining us tonight.
Well, it's a pleasure being here with you. It really is. This is the first interview I've done in about 3 months.
What is going on in the world of Terry Funk right now? I know a lot of people are talking about your book, an autobiography that's going off the shelves everywhere at books all over the country, your autobiography by Sports Publishing, LLC. A lot of people are talking about your possible return to the ECW One Night Stand pay-per-view June 11th. Tell us, Terry, what is going on in your life?
Well, a lot right now. You know, as I sold a Double Cross Ranch. I'm looking for another one. Hell, I might even go down to New York City and buy a couple of blocks down there. I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe make a parking lot out of it.
What prompted you to sell the Double Cross Ranch?
Why did I sell the Double Cross Ranch?
Yes.
Because I got a ton of money for it. I'm rich. I'm filthy, stinking rich. I'm richer than 8 feet up a cow's butt. Well,
probably about the same amount of money you made off of your tremendous autobiography that Sports Publishing put out last year.
Well, did you like the autobiography?
I thought it was one of the best wrestling books ever written. It was fantastic from beginning to end. You really put a lot of time, effort, and honesty into it. You know, you read a lot of the wrestling autobiographies, and you can tell there's a lot of working tongue-in-cheek, so to say. But your book, it was a heartfelt book, and it was really not only just a great wrestling story, but a great story about someone's life.
You know, it's really a tough thing. You know, it's a whole lot different being Terry Funk out here and putting out a book, and pretty difficult getting the word around that it's out there, you know. It'd be great if I could get on Oprah Winfrey, you know. It'd be a wonderful thing if I get on there like Jane Fonda and cry a little bit and gripe about the Viet Cong or whoever, say she is sorry about that and sell 1 million of them. You know, I'm sure I could come up with a good line and sell a few more books than what I did if I get on Oprah's show. So if you can put in a good word for me, I'd appreciate it.
Well, I know Oprah's a good friend to Commissioner Vaughn Johnson.
Well, we'll be calling her tomorrow for you.
Is someone that grew up in the wrestling business and then someone that went on to become such an icon in wrestling, did you ever think that you would see a day where there'd be autobiographies about wrestling and that you would actually write your own?
Well, not really. You know, whenever you're living your life, it doesn't be that much different than anybody else, to tell you the truth. And I never looked at myself like I was any different or had a better story to tell than anybody. And I'm not so sure I did, but I think that the people that I met going through life made the story a hell of a lot better.
It was an amazing story, as I said. Once Sports Publishing sent out a copy of that book to me, I went through it in about a day and a half. It was absolutely just a page-turner, to say the least, if you're a book fan. If you're a wrestling fan, it's an autobiography you're going to want to pick up. I know a lot of the WWE released autobiographies are filled with a lot of fluff, but this story, it's just, how do you fit a career in 300 or so pages? That must have been awfully difficult in the editing process.
Well, it was, you know, I mean, I would have liked to have kept it a bit longer. I would like to try to do something else. I really would, you know, and another book, and I think that there might be a second book. We're talking about it, and because the first one was somewhat successful, and so we're talking about a second one now.
I remember last year in Las Vegas at the Cauliflower Alley Club reunion, you went through about 50 cases of them, so if that's any indication, maybe a second one should be in the works.
Well, I don't know about that, but it was, you know, it was a pleasure writing. It really was, you know, and recalling some of the stories and some of the people I've met through the years. lot of years, you know, and several decades in the profession, and seen a lot of changes. And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't live my life any differently than what I have.
Let's talk a little bit about your, again, legendary career in this industry. December 10th, 1975, 10 years and 1 day after your first match, you defeat Jack Briscoe to become NWA World Heavyweight Champion for the first time. You were the man in the wrestling industry. How did that feel?
It was, you know, I was really proud for several reasons. You know, first of all, as a proud time in my life was whenever my brother won the championship, and that was a pretty big deal. You know, I mean, it's the biggest ever happened, you know, to our family. And I know that my father and I were just elated with Dory Jr. being the champion, you know, and perfectly satisfied with that. But whenever I won it in Miami, it was a real thrill. I wish my father was there to have seen that. He wasn't. And dadgummit, he was a good man, and I tried to follow in his footsteps, and I think they're a little bit big for me to, you know, I could certainly see his footsteps because he certainly made them. And he was a great one, and dadgummit, the family is just, family comes first, you know.
Absolutely. Well, you held the NWA World Heavyweight Championship for the next 14 months until you were defeated in, I believe, February of 1977 by the likes of Harley Race. But still, you were one of the top superstars in this country, going from territory to territory to territory. And not only in the United States, but you came perhaps even a bigger star over in Japan.
Yeah, you know, whenever I was champion, it was for a short period, but I was making a run with it. I wanted to wrestle as many times as I could, and for that championship, and make as much money as I could, because I knew it was a hard run, you know, and I wanted to, you know, I didn't necessarily want it to be short, but I wanted to make the most out of it, and I feel that I did. And Japan was a great place for me. It is wrestling at its best at that time, because they were able to get, because of the pay scales, they paid more than anybody else in the world. They were able to get the greatest wrestlers in the world at that time.
And as we said, you and Dory had some legendary tag team matches over in Japan. And the Funk name, will you ever forget 1983, that emotional announcement of your retirement? What brought you to retire in 1983 when, as we've seen over the past 20-plus years later, you still had so much to give to pro wrestling?
I retired in Japan at that time because I felt like if I did retire, it could be a big help. I announced it 18 months in advance, and wrestled through that 18 months with the fans knowing that I was going to retire from Japan. It was never a full retirement. It was just that I was not coming back to Japan. What prompted that was Antonio Inoki being so strong over there and having such a strong promotion with New Japan. And we were at war with them at the time, and I was on the All Japan side at that time, and I wanted to be a good soldier and do the right thing and do the best I could for the company.
No, you don't always see that in the wrestling industry, to say the least. Also, around the time you were world champion, strong in America, strong in Japan, you started off on what turned into quite a Hollywood career. What brought you out to L.A. to become a movie star?
Well, I don't know if I was a movie star or not, you know, but at least I'm a retired artiste, you know. I got my retirement in out there. And what brought me on to become a movie star, I'll tell you what, is if you ever try to get hospitalization for yourself and your family as a wrestler, it costs a fortune. So I decided what a great way it would be to go ahead and get hospitalization is go out there and become a member of SAG. And so I did that, and I'd go back and work until I made enough to maintain my SAG card every year, year after year, and I got free insurance that way. And that's why I was doing it, in case I got injured.
How many different movies were you in over the years?
Oh, gosh, I was probably in 15 movies and 2 or 3 TV series.
I know our executive producer of MWF TV,
Like 2 or 3 TV series, I mean, as a regular in those, you know. It wasn't like just appearing in 2 or 3 TV series. I was the principal in them.
Wow. I know our executive director wanted to know, will you be appearing in Roadhouse 2 when it comes out?
Well, I don't know if Roadhouse 2 is going to be made, is it?
That's what Patrick J. Doyle, our executive director, said earlier tonight. He was interested to see if you were going to be in that.
Well, if they got Roadhouse 2, I'm sure I'll be in it.
Double the payday. There you go. You'll be all set.
I'd like that. You know, the funniest thing about Roadhouse is it goes on and on and on and on, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's turned into a classic in its own right. But another surprise in the wrestling industry as we rolled into 1985, Terry Funk leaves the NWA and winds up in the World Wrestling Federation. What made you make that jump at that point in time?
Money.
Were there a lot of hard feelings from some of the old school NWA people that were still fighting the fight to try and keep it alive? Or did you realize
No, I think that there was, I really don't think that there was that much bitterness among them, but I saw the way that the wrestling world was going at the time. You know, it was, you know, all of the small promotions were like your downtown drugstore, you know, and then along comes Walmart and just pushes them out of business.
Well, that's the way the world goes, it seems, present day in WWF.
WE and, you know, the McMahon syndrome, you know.
Why was your brother Dory called Hoss in WWF?
Well, that's because wrestling has become an extension of what Vince McMahon wants it to be.
Even back then in the 80s. I remember you had a huge...
So if Vince McMahon wanted you to be a horse, well, you're a horse. Well, I don't wrestle for the guy very much because I don't like him.
And you're honest about it. And how many people in the professional wrestling industry would say that, Kamesh?
Not many.
Unbelievable. Let's talk about it.
Hell, he murdered his old man.
Sure did. Put him in an early grave.
Vince murdered his dad.
Well, now, that's a statement that'll go down in the archives.
That's true, he did. He murdered him. You know how he murdered him?
How?
The old man died of a broken heart.
By seeing what happened
What
to
his son was doing to the wrestling business.
Well, that very well could be true now that you put it
No.
like that. You actually worked a few times in the 70s for Vince McMahon Sr. Didn't you and your brother have some tag team matches at Madison Square Garden?
Yeah.
What were the differences between working from senior to junior?
Well, there was a lot of differences. I feared my father. Yeah, I love my brother. My father, yeah. I'll tell you what, whenever he said something, I jumped.
I take it was a better experience working for Vince McMahon Sr. then?
It was what?
Was it a better experience working for Vince McMahon Sr. than Vince Jr.?
Well, it was a different concept.
Right.
Wrestling was Bruno Sammartino. Wrestling was Antonio Rocca. Wrestling was Pedro Morales. Wrestling was so many of those classic wrestlers of the, you know, Gorilla Monsoon and the classic wrestlers of the past. They weren't extensions of Vince McMahon Jr.'s personality. They were who they are.
Right.
That's what Vince McMahon Sr. wanted. He wanted wrestling is very Americana. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%.
It was spawned here in the United States. And it became what it was an extension of our own personalities. Not extensions of Vince McMahon Jr.'s ideas of what he thought wrestling should be, or the people should be in it. That's where wrestling has changed. That's where that son of a gun has destroyed it.
That's why so many of the characters you see in WWE today have so many similarities. They're not allowed to branch out and be themselves.
Well, no, he wants them to be. Look at Kurt Angle. Took an Olympic champion. What the hell did he make him into as a buffoon?
Exactly. He should have been the All-American hero coming out of September 11th.
Right.
And they turned him into a fool.
And he makes him into a buffoon.
Absolutely. And
right. You go look at all of the guys like that.
Think of how he could draw today if they never did that to him.
What does he do with Dusty Rhodes? He puts him in a damn idiot suit, clown suit.
The polka dots.
Polka dot suit. Have him jumping around the ring like a monkey or whatever it is.
He danced with Sapphire.
Sapphire, what kind of crap is that? And then he's got a bunch of broads running around with their boobs hanging out. Well, what the hell has that got to do with wrestling?
You know, there are a lot of ways if people...
Wrestling, hell.
There are a lot of ways that guys can get their rocks off on girls wearing little clothes. I don't know why so much of it needs to be in pro wrestling.
Well, Vince gets his rocks off looking at that stuff, coming up with that crap.
Well, you seem to understand it better than most, and I like that. Again, WWF, you weren't there for a heck of a long time. What led to you leaving in 1986?
In 86?
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you, let's see, in 86, hell, I went up there and I made as much money as I wanted to make, and I got the hell out of there.
It wasn't a very pleasant experience?
Oh, no, it was a great experience. I mean, I really loved being up there with some of the guys that I was with at that time. And then back every time I go up there. But I just can't get along with Vince that well, that's all.
Well, again...
I agree with his ideas as to what my profession should be.
Well, it's always good to hear someone tell it honestly as opposed to, you know, trying to stick their nose up someone's behind.
That's right.
In 1989, you resurfaced in the NWA, WCW, and had what was one of the greatest feuds of modern-day wrestling.
Cactus Jack. Look at Mick Foley. What the hell? He sold the ECW down the river. Paul Heyman, he sold it down the river. Hell, I was the only one that didn't go over there.
Are you talking about for the first ECW pay-per-view?
Huh?
For the first ECW pay-per-view?
No, they all sold it down the river years ago. Mick Foley had to go over there, said he had to make the money for his family. Well, hell, he's still over there.
Oh, I see what you mean, WWF, right.
What the hell is he doing? Has he lost his mind or what?
Well, that's a different story for a different time for poor Mick. A nice guy, but again, ECW was another place where you had quite a career in the 1990s. What was it like working for
ECW is the hell, I was the world's ass-kicking champion.
A lot of people say you were the man that put ECW on the map.
Over there are the world's ass-kissing champions.
In WWF?
Yeah, that's what Cactus is over there. He's the world's ass-kissing champion. That's the world's ass-kicking champion.
You heard it from Terry Funk right there, folks. Unbelievable. What was it like to help ECW, put ECW on the map in the early 1990s, and then see it grow from an independent all the way up to becoming on national TV and on pay-per-view?
What was that?
What was it like?
Hardcore wrestling. What is hardcore wrestling? Hardcore isn't jumping off a damn building or anything like that. Hardcore wrestling, in my mind, is going out there and giving 110%. That's hardcore wrestling. That's what I think of as hardcore wrestling. I think it's going out there and giving it everything you got and giving it for the fans and giving them their buck's worth. That's what I think it is. And I think that's what people wanted at that time. And I think they wanted it across the nation. I think Vince saw it, and that's whenever he knew it was spread, so he bought it out.
And in a story we will use in closing here, and one I think that tells the whole story on Terry Funk, last June there was the ECW One Night Stand pay-per-view, and Shane Douglas promoted the Hardcore Homecoming event at the ECW Arena, and you were presented with an offer to work both shows, but in the end, you decided to turn down the big money offer from WWE, and you worked the show at the ECW Arena. Terry, tell us why you chose to take less money that weekend to participate in Hardcore Homecoming.
Because that's where I wanted to be. That's where my heart was. It's that simple. That's the people that I love. You know, I mean, I'm not trying to go ahead and kiss the fans' butts or anything else, but that's my people over there.
Now,
I had to make one show tomorrow. If I could only make one, I'll tell you what, it damn sure wouldn't be if I had 2 shows. It doesn't matter. Money doesn't matter. But I can understand the other guys going the other direction because money is much more important to them. I'm very serious about this right now. Is yes, I did sell my place. And yes, I did sell it for a lot of money. And yes, I am comfortable the rest of my life. And yes, I don't need Vince McMahon. I don't need anybody. So what I do from my heart. And that's what I'll continue doing.
Well, Terry Funk, as we said, it was a tremendous career. Will you be participating in the ECW event on June 11th from New York City?
Will I be, if the thing is not being ramrodded by Vince McMahon, I'll be up there. If it's ramrodded by him, I probably won't.
Well, that'll be interesting to see. I know the fans, without a doubt, would love to see Terry Funk.
Here's this interview. I don't know if I'll be up there or not.
You heard it from the horse's mouth itself. Even though he's in the advertising, Terry Funk hasn't even decided if he's going to make the appearance yet. We love people that stick to their guns here in the MWF. Tremendous interview again. I suggest everyone to go out to your local bookstore, find Terry Funk's autobiography, or you can check out www.sportspublishingllc.com. Terry Funk, any final thoughts for the fans up here in the Boston area?
Yeah, that I just really, you know, this is, the truth is I, you know, just found myself a home up there on the East Coast and miss all you fans up there, and that's no bullshit.
You heard it from the man himself, a true legend in professional wrestling. Terry, thank you for joining us here on this program. A tremendous interview. Take care, and hopefully we'll have you on again sometime soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry, and we will be right back.